Hello, 996 Chronicles, how can I help you? Yes, indeed. We can absolutely talk about 996 and what models you should get. I'll cover that right now in today's episode, so stay tuned. I don't have any money to do an intro, so and let's get straight into it. Being in the market for another 996, you know, I'm sort of, these thoughts are going through my mind, and it's some of the things I'm considering and not considering, and that's sort of which 996 to go for, which one will hold its value, and so on. So yes, let's talk about that. Okay, so again, it's going to depend on what you're going to do with the car. How you're going to use it, where you're going to use it is very important. How regular you're going to use the car, how often you're going to use it, that's another big factor, at least for me, as someone who's currently looking to get another 996 alongside this baby of mine. These are the things that I'm currently considering, and these are the things that are gonna are narrowing down my search. So now I have this the C4S with me. I use this now and again, but I mainly use this for long stretches of road, on longer journeys. This is where I enjoy the car the most, and I can get the most out of it. I don't drive it much in the city. I am today for the sake of this video, and yes, it's raining and I'm wearing a coat in the middle of August, so yay! So the things you have to consider, like I said, is where you're going to use the car, how often you're going to use the car, and how long do you want to keep the car for. These are things that are going to determine what car you're going to get and how much you're going to have to spend getting that car. So for me, because it's my sort of second 996, it will sit alongside this car. I don't need such a low mileage one. I already have a low mileage car, and that's just by default of me not having used it for many years while I was working and living abroad. But anyway, so for my sort of daily, and having lived with the car and know that it's its technical aspects and how good they are, if maintained well, you know, I'm not really looking for a low mileage car. I want to be able to daily the car for sure. I want to also be able to take it on road trips, but it's mainly going to be for city driving. And also I'm not really looking to get it for a year or two and then sell it on. I'm looking to keep the car. So I'm trying to find sort of a good, when I say low mileage, I'm talking 70,000 miles, in that range. I'm not looking for like a 30,000 miles. That doesn't interest me with a daily drive or a daily car, because I'm gonna add on the miles, so it's not something I want to worry about. But at the same time, I don't want to get like 120,000 mile car, and then put another potentially, let's say 30, 40, maybe more during my sort of ownership of the car, and then have like a 160, 170,000 mile car. You know, it just doesn't sit very well with me. You know, I'd rather be able to put 100,000 miles on it throughout my ownership, you know, and I'll be more comfortable at that. So that's another thing I'm considering. So I'm looking at the 70, you know, late 70s, maybe early 80,000 miles, and there are quite a few cars in that range. Again, I want a light car, so that's, you know, an early-ish model. I'm considering the sort of the 90s. I do like them. I've grown to love that simplistic and pure design. I think it's absolutely fantastic. It's just so uninterrupted, and it's very smooth. It's very smooth, very smooth. That line is absolutely incredible, and so I'm really grown to love that shape of the car. Now I love the 4S, and I was more into that shape to begin with. It's just very like muscly, but now I have a real affinity and real sort of appreciation for that, for the early 996s. They're just so clean in my eyes now in terms of design. So I am considering the early ones. I think I'd love to get a nice clean example of that. I'm looking at sort of the Carrera 4s, and I'm also looking at the just the regular Carreras, because I do want a light car. Like I said, it's going to be mainly for city driving, so I'm gearing towards more towards the two-wheel drive, the regular Carreras, which I think will suit my needs for the city just fine. Plus the fact also I'm looking to get a stripped out version, meaning it doesn't have many options. I'm still in between two minds whether I go for you know, whether to get a car with a sunroof or no sunroof. Now obviously I've got a convertible, so I've got all the, you know, the sunshine that I need at any given time or moment. So I'm sort of contemplating it, but again, I want to check into whether the sunroof actually adds any weight into the car. So that's another thing I want to consider. If it does add, well, a little or considerable weight, then I'd probably opt for a no sunroof car. But again, so a stripped out version, very sort of minimal, hardly an option is what I'm looking for, just to get a pure driving experience. And again, lightness, I want to get the lighter, smaller wheels on these cars. I think they're better for city driving. So that's what I'm looking at, and these are the things that I'm considering when I'm getting these cars, when I'm looking for my next or my other 996. Yes, this is a very heavily optioned car. So again, we want to talk about values. They produced all in all about 176,000 996s in total, in between all the different variations. I found out recently that they only produced from the C4S Cabriolet around 5,500 units, and that's incredible. It's actually less by a few hundred cars than the GT3 996, which is already a very rare car. So this was produced in less numbers, you know, which is super rare. They produced the coupe version of this. Well, the total number for the coupe, the C4S coupe 996, is about 17,000 units. So more than 3 times the number of this. So these are incredibly rare, but does that mean that it's more valuable in terms of money? Well, no. If you look online and you see values of these cars, they sit more or less on par with the coupes. And again, because most of the desire for these cars, people tend to go for coupes more, and I can see why. I think for, like, I'm definitely considering that my next one will be a coupe. That's what I'm after. I love the convertible, but the extra weight, and also another thing that comes, and you sort of tend to feel it more with age when convertible, is the flexing. So you tend to hear it now more in the chassis, in the body of the car. It flexes. You hear sort of the noise and the flexing of that. So I'm not a fan of this thing. So the coupe obviously eliminates that, because it's one rigid shell, and that for me, and I guess a lot more other people, is attractive. So the values of the convertibles is not necessarily more, it's actually on par. So numbers don't always mean better value. Again, it's what people are in the market for. That's what drives the value. You know, it's supply and demand. So yeah, even though these are more rare, they're not necessarily more money. They're a bit more money, but not incredibly more. So So another thing to consider, like I said, is your ownership of the car. Here's a nice regular Carrera. So that's sort of something along the lines of what I'm looking for. Very nice and clean design. I love it. So yeah, so again, you want to sort of talk about and consider how long you want to keep the car for. Is this something you want to keep for life, basically, if you can, or you want to hold on to it and drive it for a year or two and then go on to something else? And again, that will play up with what you choose. So for me, like I said, I want to be able to keep the car for a long time, so I want to get a nice decent mileage one so I can put on the miles and feel that much more connected to the car. Also, you want to consider, again, with how long you want to own the car, you want to consider specs and options. When people are generally looking to buy a car, for the most part, you know, people want to, especially when they're buying a used car, when you're opting for a new car, nobody likes to take all these options because it's costly. But when you're buying a sort of a used one, people like to have all the fancy options all ticked on any particular car they go for second-hand. So if you're looking to sort of get a car for a year or two and then sell it on, make sure you get a car that's well specified, well optioned, basically, because it will help in the resale. People look for all sorts of different things, even if they don't necessarily use them, but you know, people like to have them. Other thing also that I'm considering, or I've sort of, that you got to consider, is sort of how you're going to use the car. So that's also going to play a role in what you need. So for example, for me, for my daily 996, even though I love the automatic, but I'm actually going for the manual. I love a manual gauge. One of my first cars was a manual, so I missed that. You know, this is great, and it's, you know, it serves me really well also on long journeys and stuff like that, so it's fantastic. But again, to keep in you know, to keep in spirit with the having the car be light and it's sort of nimble on its toes, I'm going for a manual, which I think will be fantastic. It takes off around another 50 kilos off the car, so that's just, you know, music to my ears. Along with the rear wheel drive system, will take off another 120 kilograms more or less. You know, so all in all, I'm shaving quite a bit. So I hope sort of that explains or covers the main criteria for what you need to look for and what you need to ask yourself when choosing your 996 or any particular car you want to go for. So I hope you enjoyed today's segment. I like to do these videos, or just videos in general, in the car or alongside the car, because it's just a more real experience, right? So anyways, I hope you enjoyed it. Again, if you've stuck along for this video this far, then please consider subscribing. It will mean a hell of a lot to me. It doesn't pay anything, but it just motivates me to do more videos, and comment and let me know what you guys want to see. It's great to get some fresh ideas and things that I might have missed out. Until then, do keep safe, and I'll see you very soon.